They are trying to break words up and understand what the word spells like and sounds like and looks like. They don't even make meaning of the text. So we don't even get to the part where they're looking at independent construction and things like that. Another thing that's really interesting is, what would you do with a child? Now, you've got a child in your class who's not reading properly, okay? And say you had the opportunity to withdraw that child, work with them one-on-one. What would you do? What kind of activities are you doing with that child?
It depends on the level that child's at already as to what I do. If they were reading at a very low level, I might even do phonetics with them, just to get them to read a word before they even put it into any sentences and context. So yeah, it's hard to say. It depends on what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. And you're really on the spot there, because what we are doing when we remediate kids is we're pulling them out of classes, and then we're working at that basal level where we're saying, okay, well, what does this word look like? It's a sight word. What does it sound like? Break it up. Things like that. Meanwhile, the rest of the class carries on learning at this higher level where they're just moving from step to step, progressing while this child is still struggling down here, trying to make sense of words. Right, so how do we close that gap quickly in that year 7? That's the trickiest part. Here we are working with them on multi-lit, where we teach them how to look at a flashcard and say said. That's a sight word. And then back in class they're talking about I don't know, combustion and energy and forces and other complicated things. So how are we going to quickly teach this child down here and then send them back to class so that they can go in class and learn about all these scientific things and all these mathematical things? And so that is the challenge that we face, and that is what Reading to Learn attempts to do. Reading to Learn attempts to take text at stage level. So what they say to you is, take a text, it needs to be a stage level text, something like this. And then, even if it's not entire text, you cannot ever work with entire text, but if you take a little section out of an entire text and work just with that, they attempt to close the gap by working at that higher level. And we're going to talk further about this when you turn the page over.
But isn't it also true that by the time they get to high school, what is really vulnerable? There's very little you can do to sort of make amends for what they've missed out on?
Yes, it is really difficult. There's no doubt about that. A student who's working at a certain level is always catching up if they've fallen behind. They're always catching up. And therefore,